Hi everyone, I'm Caline and welcome back to Ask Propertylimbrothers, where you guys ask and we answer. So today we'll be talking about the recently announced prime location public housing model. Let's go.
Propertylim. Ask Propertylimbrothers.
So the release of the news on the latest BTO flats under the new housing model, the prime location public housing, or also known as PLH, has sensationalized the entire real estate market and Singapore's steps towards ensuring that public housing remains affordable while having a symbolic move towards inclusive housing for Singaporeans. And how much of an impact will these have on the home prices across Singapore? Let's take a deeper dive. So announced in a joint press release issued by HDB and MND, the PLH is a pilot scheme that combats the issue of Singaporeans making a windfall out of million-dollar resale homes that exist within the Singapore's prime regions. This scheme hopes to introduce diversity even within the central regions of Singapore, eliminating economic enclaves in any region and particularly in that of central region. So this comes after the 2019 announcement by Prime Minister Lee, where plans of additional 9,000 housing units were set to be introduced in the areas that are currently occupied by the Keppel Country Club and the golf course, as that is part of the Greater Southern Waterfront Coastline project. So there are 5 notable restrictions for the homes that will be introduced under the PLH scheme. So the first one will be the minimum occupancy period, or rather known as the MOP, which will be increased from the current 5 years to 10 years. And current regulations for HDB flats require homeowners to stay in their current flat for the full duration of the MOP before they can sell it. So unlike most flats with an MOP of 5 years, the PLH units will have an MOP of 10 years. So this will appeal to buyers who are buying for their own stay rather than those who are looking to upgrade quickly or flip and sell for a profit margin. Is this a necessary curb? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Historically, private home prices rise faster than HDB flats, meaning that those who are looking to acquire private homes tend to upgrade from their HDB flats quickly. The longer they stay in the HDB flat, the more the status of a private property may grow out of their reach. Hence, the 10-year MOP safeguards against this practice for PLH units. So the new MOP for prime area applies to both first-time buyers as well as the subsequent resale buyers and begins upon the collection of keys. So given the delays in the construction coupled with a longer MOP period, one can expect to wait anywhere between 10 to 15 years before the flat can be finally sold on the market, and that's a huge jump compared to the usual 6 to 8 years before an owner ballots, collects keys, and is ready to move on to their next property. So number 2 is renting. So PLH owners are not allowed to rent out the entire flat. So unlike the 5-year MOP where citizens can rent out the entire flat after the 5-year period, PLH units may never be rented out fully even after the 10-year MOP has been fulfilled. So despite this, homeowners may still rent out spare bedrooms, which can then ease their finances. In today's market conditions, a rental room in a prime location has high yield, which may entice owners to rent out more rooms than they would have otherwise. So number 3, levies. Subsidy recovery is implemented in addition to the existing resale levies to make PLH units more affordable for citizens. Buyers are able to apply for more subsidies in addition to the current subsidies that are already in place, such as the Enhanced Housing Grant, the EHG. So this is done to alleviate the naturally higher prices that PLH units experience. However, these subsidies must be paid back when homeowners sell off their unit, in addition to any resale levies that are already in place. The subsidy recovery, also known as SR, is calculated as a percentage of the sale price of the unit rather than the original price that it was purchased for, since SR applies regardless if the sale is profitable or not. So there is a risk for homeowners ending up in a situation where selling their PLH unit still does not leave them with enough cash for subsequent upgrade to a private property. Number 4, so eligibility. PLH units have much stricter rules for the eligibility rather than the standard HDB flat conditions, such as the citizenship, the family status, your private property ownership, and most importantly, the income have been modified for PLH units. The full list can be found on our editorial page at propertylimbrothers.com/insights. Apparently, these requirements aim to reserve PLH units for Singaporean families with lower income and no prior private property. So this is in line with the aim of keeping public housing affordable for citizens. So while they may seem extremely restrictive to some, particularly to SPR families and singles in Singapore, HDB also mentioned that they may modify these rules as the situation develops, so possibly about halfway through the lease duration. So number 5, priority. So lesser units are reserved for those under the Married Child Priority Scheme, or also known as the MCPS. While the numbers have not yet been determined, HDB will reduce the number of units that are reserved for homeowners applying under the MCPS scheme. So under the MCPS, homeowners who are applying for a flat receive priority if that flat is within 4 km occupied by their parent or their married child. And the purpose of this scheme is to help the married child and parents to live closer together for mutual support by giving greater assurance when applying for a flat. However, while the MCPS supposedly promotes integrational relations, there is also a high chance that the home of your parent or the married child located within the 4 km of a PLH unit in the central region of Singapore is that of a condominium or private property. Thus, it's also possible for the MCPS to kind of widen the inequality gap by granting central flats to homeowners whose families already have expensive property in these locations. So by reducing the units reserved for MCPS, HDB hopes to reduce this practice and allow more citizens to live in the central HDB flats, removing the socio-economic advantage in this field. So what does all these restrictions mean for the real estate market? So firstly, these restrictions immediately deters investors who are looking to make a profit from rental, and this makes PLH more attractive for genuine home buyers rather than those who are looking to profit from it either through rental or upgrading to private properties after the MOP period. So secondly, the profile of buyers looking to buy these flats in the resale market will be more restricted than the typical resale flats, which means limitations not just on the people who will ballot for these homes next month, but can purchase from the current owners once the MOP has passed. So while these factors mean that the PLH does an excellent job in what it has set out to do, so keeping the home prices low in the CCR for genuine home buyers that are intending to buy for own stay and an extended period of time, this will also have ripple effects on the real estate market. So the biggest implication of this is the increase in home prices on those on the periphery of these prime areas. So homes around these prime HDBs, whether they are public housing or whether they are private property, are sure to see an increase in demand and subsequently prices as they become more attractive to homeowners who do not wish to be limited by the MOP time or other resale restrictions. So in addition to these housing limitations, buyer profiles who do not fall under the demographics of those limited by HDB but still want to live in these prime locations, so perhaps for work purposes, will also naturally then turn towards the other flats that lie in the edge of these prime areas. Existing prime HDBs not affected by PLH model such as Pinnacle at Duxton, Tiong Bahru, Redhill, Queenstown, and Little India, Farrer Park will also see demand as the specification in this model will only apply to future projects and not retrospectively to the existing public housing. So for those who are familiar with the real estate market, you will realize that this is yet just another cooling measure and a major one at attempting to keep the real estate market in Singapore an affordable and an all-inclusive one for all. So while aimed at HDB flippers, it may be an almost perfect way to keep the price gap small for HDBs between the CCR and the OCR region, yet unavoidably hiking RCR condo prices in the process. So the main aim of the PLH remains to mitigate the windfall effect and will not affect the existing owners of HDBs. However, this scheme will inadvertently result in added interest in the OCR region and most heavily benefit the HDB on the fringe of the prime areas as they have similar accessibility as the HDB prime flats but are free from the above mentioned regulations. Right, so we hope that you have enjoyed this episode, and for more information regarding the PLH, do head over to our editorial page. Once again, I'm Caline. Take care and see you soon.